What's up guys, Jayztwocents here, and you know, cases that have been developed over the last couple of years kind of have a pretty common feature now, and I don't even know who did it first, doesn't really matter because everyone's kind of doing it, and that is the vertical PCIe mount or your graphics card mount. To allow it to, instead of mounting horizontal in your case like that, you can mount it upright. But you know, there's a couple problems with some cases. It's they kind of get too close to the side panel, they kind of choke off your graphics card. If you've got more than a dual slot card, that's not going to work. But what if you've got a case that you're in love with and you don't want to change your case, but you want a vertical mount anyway? Well, you install an aftermarket vertical mount adapter, and that's exactly what we're going to look at today. One specifically by CableMod. Not the first one on the market, won't be the last one on the market, but nonetheless, the first one we're going to take a look at here today. Do you want to be cooler? Do you want to be more desirable? You know what guys, I got new merch. It's available now, crowdmade.com/Jayztwocents. We got zip-up hoodies, we got tri-blend, we got a new logo. I digress, since 2012, it's a digress logo. You guys have been asking for that. Anyway, we got all kinds of stuff. Zip-up hoodies, beanies, polos. Don't take my word for it, because obviously I can't do this ad. So just look in the description below and you guys will find the link. Thanks. So CableMod's been developing this for quite a while now. In fact, I've had a couple prototypes they had sent me and they were like, hey, we changed the design a little bit, so wait for the new ones. Here it is right here, available on their store. It's also gonna be launching on Amazon when it's available. I'll put a link in the description below. But before we unbox it, I'm gonna show you why we have a few things on the table here. Not only do we have skunkworks still bleeding from our last video or kind of cleaning itself with our cleaning solution in our loop, we've got a giant case like this, which could obviously fit pretty much any graphics card under any condition, one that does not have a vertical mount by default. And then we've got this Fractal Design Meshify C, which is a mid-tower case. As you can see, it's very short, given the length of the graphics card. As you can see, it's a pretty short case in terms of depth, because I want to see how this fits in a large case and a small case. We've also got ourselves here an RTX 2080 Ti. This doesn't really, the graphics card itself doesn't matter, it's the form factor we're looking at. It's pretty standard size graphics card, standard size PCB, 2-slot thickness, about an 11.5-inch card, I believe. Ladies. We've also got here our Strix GeForce RTX 2080, which is a triple slot card. It's got a taller profile and it's longer. So if you compare it to like the standard 2080 Ti, you can see that, you know, obviously getting this to fit in there is going to be a bit of a challenge. So we're trying two different form factors in terms of graphics cards as well as cases. Now I know that CableMod has done a lot of testing with this graphics adapter, which is one of the reasons why it was delayed a little bit. They pretty much took measurements of every card from like, I don't even know how far back they went, but they got measurements of pretty much every single card on the market that they could get their hands on to make sure it was going to fit. They wanted to make sure the taller cards were going to fit, the shorter cards were going to fit, and all that. So if you want a manual though, they give you this printed piece of paper with a QR code that you can click to get the manual instead of just printing it on this piece of paper. So that's kind of interesting. Anyway, of course you've got your riser card. This is your PCI Express cable. So this is what's going to actually connect to your motherboard to obviously make the connection to your graphics card. They include a 90-degree angled display port, because you'll see is the way that this mounts in there, it's gonna recess in the case a little bit. So you need to have, you know, be able to reach it and have accessibility. So they give you this 90-degree cable. Here's another 90-degree cable right here. So they give you two of these, which is kind of nice. I guess if you have more than one monitor, they want to get you covered for that. You've got your mounting screws, and then of course, the actual adapter plate itself. Now it does take up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 slots in order to mount this. So you need to make sure that your motherboard and your case have 7 available slots. You can see you're going to basically lose access to all of your other PCI Express ports. So if you're running things like a sound card, a network card, RAID controller card, anything other than your graphics card is pretty much going to lose access. So there's definitely a trade-off here already right off the bat. So we're gonna go ahead and mount this right now, sort of get it prepped, mount it in the case, show you how that's done, and then we will do our test fit. So this is the way it's gonna go in like this. It's going to get a lot of support in terms of weight from all of these notches right there, which as I already showed, fit right into the case like that. Then you screw this down with the normal screws you would mount any PCI Express adapter right there. But before you do that, you've actually got to put on the bottom piece here. This is where your riser card or the cable is going to actually mount to. So you'll see there's 3 screws right there, 3 screw holes. Just goes up on there like that. And then you can take 3 of these screws to mount it. One of the things I'm curious about that I want to test on this is how it handles the weight of the card, because the cards nowadays, because they're getting more and more powerful, the heat sinks are getting larger, they're getting more dense. Graphics card sag has certainly become a thing that companies have been getting creative with on trying to combat. All right, so this essentially goes like that. Now you'll see it's not actually touching the bottom of the bracket right there because that is where this guy comes in. The holes are elongated, they are oblong. So you see how you have some movement there? So before you tighten it down, you're gonna probably wanna find the right position with your graphics card, and then you can tighten that down to where you want it to be. And that is essentially the entire mechanism right there. So as you can see, it's still a little bit loose because I want to make sure the distances are all set right. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take the card back off, tighten those screws down, and that's the whole mechanism. So that would mount into your appropriate slot, your 16X slot for your graphics card, and that's the whole bracket. So let's go ahead and get it all installed and see how it looks in the case. So I know it's gonna fit in Skunkworks, obviously. This is an SM-A8 from Case Labs. It's a huge case that we're still cleaning, obviously. We've got the system prep running in there right now to clean out our loop in preparation for our next upgrade, but we're gonna go ahead and install it in this guy here. So the nice thing about this shielded ribbon cable is you can bend it as you need. We're gonna go ahead and plug that into. But I digress. So the easiest way to probably do this is just gonna be to move this cable out of the way for now, rather than trying to plug it in first. I think that'll work all right. It still has plenty of room. And I'm not gonna put in all the screws, but obviously I'd recommend putting in all the screws so you have all the support you can possibly get. The difficulty of this is gonna be purely dependent on your case and how tight it is. But it's actually easier to tighten down like this than it is a normal graphics card just chilling in there, because a graphics card coming this way usually keeps you from being able to get to those screws. So I'm putting in the top screw and the bottom screw. So far it seems to be doing a pretty good job at supporting the weight. If you've never held an RTX Founders Edition card, they are heavy. That is pretty much installed, just like that. So now you can see in this case, it'd be very silly to have these dual loops like this with this loop doing nothing and a graphics card just sitting there. But you can see what I mean now about the fact that it does completely block all of your expansion ports. So although this is a great thing in terms of showing off your graphics card, there is sacrifice involved. You're gonna lose access to those slots. Even this 4X right here up top that it's not being blocked by the bracket, the port obviously is being blocked in terms of the back slot. So that's something to keep in mind. But what I'm gonna test right now, I wanna see how easy we can get this graphics card out of here while the bracket is installed, instead of having to take the bracket all the way out. There we go. There we go. Yeah, so without the graphics card mounted, that's obviously pretty flappy and dangly because it does mount up there like that. But you can see, obviously our card riser slot right there. It also goes a little bit under kind of a crooked bend, but that's not gonna really matter because you can't see it. So what about the big card? What about the big dog? Let's see what we got here. That went in pretty easy. Oh yeah. If PC building was an esport, I'd be your optic. A little bit on the saggy side, but I mean, we're asking a lot of this bracket, which is really just floating here. And remember, I only have 2 screws in there right now. Now we're not gonna be using the Strix card over here because even with it sitting normal, as you can see, we barely clear my front fans right here. So unfortunately this one's out, although it would have definitely filled up that space significantly. But as you can see, if this was a standard case that had a vertical mount in here, you can see it would go right here where this mesh is. That would push it right up against the side glass, and that just would not work. That would just not be good. So that's what we've dealt with some cases on the market that have integrated vertical mounts. So that's why stuff like this is actually kind of nice, even if you have one. And what I want to show too is the cable. Look at the crazy angle on that cable right there. These are not just standard display ports. You can see they've made this cable so that it can actually fit properly in the bracket right here. Now it's no surprise it's easy to install in a big case like the Case Labs SM-A8. But let's take a look at the Meshify C right here because this is much smaller. I've got an air cooler in there. I can't get my hand up here to plug in the cable like I did over there because it's got a water block. So I'm gonna lay this flat and I would pretty much expect this to fill up a lot of the space. Notice I said fill up and not Philip, so Phil doesn't think I'm talking to him right now. All right, so there it is installed in our Meshify C, which I think is like a perfect fit. All right, Phil, your opinion, what do you think on that?
It's really centered, like horizontally it's centered.
Especially because the length of this case is perfect. Like it's almost aesthetically OCD pleasing. All right, so there you go, guys. That's the CableMod vertical PCIe adapter. It's a little bit more expensive than the competitors, like I said, but at least it gives you these custom cables for it. It gives you 2 of them. It's very well thought out. I think it looks great in the Meshify C. It's almost like it complements this build perfectly. The build quality, the anodizing quality, it's one of those things that if you are into the aesthetics of your PC, I mean, this is an aesthetics piece. It's not really functional in the sense of giving you any additional performance or anything like that. It makes you able to see your card. Most of these companies put a lot of effort into their shroud. They care about the way it looks like this, not so much like this, which is how you're typically used to seeing it. I've seen a lot of people ask me too, like, Jay, why is the cooler on the bottom of the card and always having to push up? At least like that now, it's a little bit more natural where the heat can kind of rise out of the card, get caught in the case airflow and exhaust that heat even better. Whether or not that's true though, that's up for debate and something we could test in a later video between orientation and see which is better by using this bracket. Because as I mentioned, the cases that people have done this test with normally push it up against the glass, which makes vertical bad. But does vertical, when it's in the center of the case like this, actually give you any sort of temperature benefit? But as mentioned though, you do have to sacrifice some stuff on this. You lose all expandability in terms of your PCI Express, no expansion cards, sound cards, capture cards, no SLI. I mean, that so few people actually run SLI, that's probably not a deterrent. But if you're looking at a way to make your single graphics card look better in even a small case like the Meshify C or this giant case like the SMA8, we had no problems affixing the bracket to the cases. Obviously a small case and a big GPU is going to be a concern, but that's a concern even when you don't use a bracket like that. So guys, sound off in the comments below. Yes, this is a bit of a vanity piece. It is not something that's necessary. It's not going to give you much, if any sort of performance improvement. This is straight up about looking at your hardware, and if you spend a lot of money on it, wouldn't you want to see it? All right guys, sound off in the comments below. Tell me what you think. Again, I'll put links to where to buy in the description down below, and you guys can go and have a look at that. So again, a huge thanks to CableMod for sending me one of these to take a look at, and we'll probably find a way to integrate one of these into a permanent build in the future. Imagine with a water block showing. That'll look even better. All right, once again, thanks for watching, and as always, we'll see you in the next one. The only lift I need is the push-up bra I wear under this shirt. All right, now we're not gonna... All right, so we're not gonna be using this... CableMod is introducing their vertical PCI adapter. Oh. Hey, what's up guys? Jayztwocents here, and have you ever wondered... Nope, I've never wondered that ever. I don't know what I was gonna say. Yeah, we got this. We got this, we got this, we got this. And I'm curious as to how well this is gonna work. He goes, okay, we got all the goopers out. For a while, I've been waiting. Videos are hard to make. Yeah, like I'm like, I know what I'm gonna say now. Have you ever had a case that, wait, what, I forgot what I was gonna say. No, I haven't had food yet. That's probably the problem. Pretty much are now one we're gonna take a look at here today. Yay! We did the intro. I'm going, all right, I need craft services now.